What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Another beautiful morning out here in Arizona. It's nice and cool. Temperature's starting to drop, so it's now about 70s in the morning, which is freaking amazing. We have a new video for you today, an exciting video. It's not about the Jag, it's not about the Fusion, nor is it about the truck. But as you can see right here, we have something. Yes, 2014 Hyundai Accent GLS. We're going to be actually doing a whole bunch of stuff to this guy here. Excuse the mess over here on my desk. It's always a mess, which means there's always stuff going on. But as you can see here, there's a whole pile of everything and anything you could ever want for a vehicle on here. From fuel injector cleaner to mass airflow sensors, spark plugs, cabin air filter, regular air filter, oil, antifreeze, anything you can think of is probably right here. But essentially all this is for this Hyundai. Just want to make sure this guy is up to speed with all its maintenance intervals. Just want to go ahead and get them all done at the same time, so I know that boom, at this line in the sand, they were all done correctly, and all done by me. And with that, that means you guys get a whole bunch of content for this type of vehicle. And like I said, it's a 2014 Hyundai Accent. Pretty much it's just the base model. As you can see, there's nothing really fancy in there, but these guys here get excellent gas mileage, which blows the Jaguar, Fusion, and definitely the truck out of water. So back over here at the desk, since there's so much we're going to be doing for this vehicle, we're obviously not going to do it all in one shot, not all in one video. So over the next few weeks, if not months, you'll see different pieces of what we're going to be doing to this Accent come out and post. So today, I'm not too sure what we want to start with. We have plenty to choose from. Let's do this by process of elimination. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Alright, let's go. So first things up for this Accent, we're going to be changing the oil. Now, if you can see here on the bottom, we have something slightly different from what you would normally see with the oil change. But these are simply washers. Per the service manual, these 2014s, and I think 2012 to 2017 to be exact, but these 2014 Accents need to have the oil drain plug washer replaced every single time you do an oil change. So that's what those are. And of course, everything else you need to get, you can get really any brand of oil. There's not really a specific one you have to get. I always get full synthetic high mileage because this does have over 75,000 miles on it. The deal of the day at AutoZone was Pennzoil, so got Pennzoil. So as you can see, I already got the hood open and almost ready actually, but with every oil change you want to get the vehicle up off the ground so you can get underneath it. But on this one here, I want to do something specific, and I actually want to get it up off the ground but keep it level. Reasons being, you'll see here in a bit, the oil drain plug on these engines actually faces forwards. So if I lift the vehicle up from the front, technically I could be holding in some of that oil in the back side of the pan, which I don't want. I want to drain most of it out. So yeah, I'm gonna probably drive it up on the ramps in the front and then use my jack and jack stands to hold it up on the back. Alright, we got the vehicle up in the air, and like I said, I wanted to keep it level as possible, so I have the back side on jack stands and the front side on my tire ramps. So let's go ahead and get started on this oil change. First things first, with all oil changes, guys, you want to make sure the engine is not extremely hot so you don't burn yourself when you're draining the oil. But this guy, he was sitting in the garage overnight, and other than driving it up onto the ramps, that's pretty much all the actions had so far. So it's nice and cool, so we're good to go there. First things first is undo the oil cap up top. This will allow some air to enter into the engine when you're draining from below. And as you can see here, it calls for 5W20. Of course, depending on where you live, temperature and all that good stuff, you can change that. But as far as for where I'm at, 5W20 will be good for the heat as well as for gas mileage. So we made our way underneath the vehicle, and just for a frame of reference, the passenger front side is actually over here, and behind you is the driver's side. So as you can see, this is the oil drain pan, and that's our oil plug, and like I said earlier, it faces forwards, which is why I wanted to get the vehicle level up off the ground so that it wouldn't actually collect in the back side if it was tilted up in the front. So that should help us aid in getting as much of this oil out as possible. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get this drain plug off. You'll need a ratchet and a 17mm socket, and that's what you use to take this guy out. And that's one important thing as why you want to wear gloves, because this old oil is really bad for you. So you don't want to get that on your skin, especially if you consistently do oil changes yourself. So yeah, definitely get you some safety gloves. So we're going to let that drain for a little bit now. It's cooler oil right now, so I'm going to let it go for as long as I possibly can because it doesn't flow as quick as hot oil. So we'll move on to the oil filter, which you can see is right up here, the white one. Definitely want to get you one of those oil wrenches. I have that grip one that you saw from my last video with the Fusion. So we'll go ahead and use that to get that oil filter off. I went ahead and got me a 6-inch extension to attach onto my little oil filter wrench, which is the black thing up top. So simply, you just position it over the oil filter by turning it to the right, and then it should clamp on, and you can be able to loosen it just like that. I'm done with that. I can do the rest by hand, just like in the last video. There may be oil coming out of this oil filter, so be ready for that. Don't get too far underneath it so you don't splash in your face. Just like that. Now that most of it's dripped away, I'm going to go ahead and take it off for the rest of the way. Careful not to drop it. Go ahead and turn that guy upside down into your oil pan. Alright, so the drain is still dripping at the moment, so I'm just going to use this opportunity to go ahead and clean off the mating surface for where the oil filter attaches to. You always want to have a clean surface there to make sure it seals perfectly fine. Once you get the new oil filter on, and as you can see, it's pretty dirty, so good thing I'm doing this. Hopefully you can see this. I wanted to give you an up close view as what it looks like down here. And as you can see, it's pretty dirty around. This shiny surface is the surface I'm talking about to make sure you have extremely clean so that when the new oil filter goes on, it's nice and clean and won't have any issues sealing. One thing you can do, and I'd recommend you doing if you see it like this with all the oil residue and dirt, just hit it with some brake clean, non-chlorinated brake clean, and that should actually clean up the majority of this. But wait until you put your new oil filter on because you have the open port here to the engine and you don't want to get brake clean into there. I'm gonna go ahead and jump onto the oil filter outside, the new one. We'll come back, install this guy on, and then we'll clean this up. So just like we did before and in all my other oil changes, you want to pre-fill up the oil filter. For those who don't know, pretty much what it does, it helps recirculate the oil quicker because normally it'll have to push oil into the filter, let it circulate through the filter material, and then actually back out to the engine. But putting some in here first off just shortens that amount of time, prevents your vehicle from running dry in a sense. So always do that first. Alright, so that looks good now. It's pretty much almost filled all the way up to the top. So we'll set that aside for a second. And here's where these washers come into play. So here's the drain plug that I already removed. And as you can see, there's this copper looking washer here. Pretty much it's just a piece of metal. It's a softer metal than what the plug and the actual drain pan on the vehicle is. So that is going to get taken away. So simply just goes over the top and boom, there you go. Here's your washer. When we get back underneath this vehicle, we will torque this to the recommended value that Hyundai recommends, which is anywhere from 25 to 32 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna go right in the middle, around 28, 29. Because since we have a washer and that's the only means of sealing, I just want to make sure I have it to the correct torque to make sure it doesn't leak on us. Alright, back underneath the vehicle, guys. We got the oil filter in hand. Surface is still clean, it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and screw this guy on. Per the service manual, it asks to torque the oil filter to 11 foot-pounds. I never really do. I just wait till it kind of gets snug, and then I'll do another half turn from there. And that's always been good with me, so that's what I do. You can do whatever you want. But yeah, just as a reference, 11 foot-pounds for the oil filter. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the oil drain plug with the new washer installed. And as you can see here, it's just a bare metal surface there. That's pretty much what the sealing is that washer, which is why, again, that I'm going to torque it to the recommended per the service manual, which is anywhere between 25 to 32 foot-pounds. And we'll give that a check as soon as we get it all done, make sure it's not leaking, and as well as I'll check a little bit down the line just to make sure it's still not leaking, and we'll go from there. Alright, got my torque wrench, and boom, there it is. Do another one just in, there you go, good to go. Now that we're done with everything on the bottom side, you can go ahead and just fully take off your oil cap from up top, set that aside, keep your little shop towel handy just in case you drip on something, you can clean it up real quickly. So we'll go ahead and pour the rest of it. So this 2014 Hyundai Accent takes 3.8 quarts, which if you remember, we already put some into the oil filter itself. We're simply going to take it down until there's 1.2 quarts remaining, which is about down here. So I'll go ahead and get pouring. And as you can tell, I keep checking after every small pour. Reasons being is because it's real simple to add more. It's pretty difficult to remove less. That's about it. Alright guys, just like that, you successfully drained your oil on your 2014 Hyundai Accent. So I have it running right now because I'm going underneath and check for leaks. That's one thing you want to make sure you do. If that checks out, pretty much the only thing is to let the engine cool down, let the oil drain back down to the bottom. Check it, just make sure you have enough oil in there, and that means you're good to go. Just as a sneak peek of what's coming up next for this vehicle, guys, we have everything from air filters, spark plugs, brakes, coolant, you name it, we got it. So as always, if this is your first time at this channel, hit that subscribe button below, turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of this exciting action we have coming up for the Accent, Fusion, the Jaguar, the truck, RC cars galore. But I'm done for today, so I'll check you guys out in the next one. Y'all have a good one.